Have you ever promised yourself that tomorrow would be different? Tomorrow you would wake up earlier. Tomorrow you would start learning something new. Tomorrow you would finally begin building the life you imagine late at night. But when the alarm rings, the room feels warm, the bed feels safe, and tomorrow quietly becomes another ordinary day. Most people believe life changes through big opportunities, but sometimes it begins with a small hour no one else sees. This is the story of a man named Daniel Harper, and the quiet hour that rebuilt his life. Daniel was 34 years old and living in a fading industrial town where the factory lights never seemed to turn off. During the day, the streets were filled with trucks and workers in worn jackets. At night, everything grew quiet except for the low mechanical hum coming from warehouses near the railroad tracks. That was where Daniel worked. He was a night watchman at a shipping depot. Every evening at 8:30 p.m., he clocked in and walked the same slow route through metal gates and empty loading docks. At 6:30 in the morning, when the sky began turning pale gray, he walked home. His apartment was small and tired. A mattress on the floor, a second-hand table, a tiny kitchen with a refrigerator that rattled every few minutes. Daniel's paycheck barely covered rent and groceries, but the hardest part wasn't the money. It was the feeling that his life was standing still. Every morning on his walk home, he passed houses where lights were turning on. Families gathered at kitchen tables, parents pouring coffee, children putting on backpacks, cars backing out of driveways as people headed toward jobs that seemed stable, purposeful. Daniel watched those scenes like someone standing outside a window, close enough to see them, but not close enough to belong. He had tried to improve his situation before. He filled out applications, applied for office jobs, warehouse management positions, even delivery companies. But every interview ended the same way. Do you have experience with accounting systems? No. Any certifications? No. College degree? No. Daniel only had a high school diploma and a long list of night shifts, so life continued exactly the same. Work through the dark, sleep through the day, wake up tired, repeat. Weeks turned into years. Then one winter morning, something happened that shook him awake in a way no alarm clock ever had. Daniel received a phone call from his younger brother. Their father had collapsed while working in the yard. It wasn't life-threatening, but the doctor said something that stayed in Daniel's mind long after the hospital visit ended. Your father spent his whole life working hard, the doctor said gently, but he never slowed down long enough to change the path he was on. That sentence followed Daniel home. That night during his shift, he couldn't stop thinking about it. Working hard, but never changing direction. Wasn't that exactly what he was doing? Around 5 in the morning, Daniel stepped outside the warehouse to drink a cup of coffee. The town was quiet. Streetlights glowed softly over empty roads. Cold air drifted across the parking lot. For a moment, everything felt still. And in that silence, Daniel noticed something strange. Even though the town was asleep, a few lights were already on. A bakery across the street had its ovens glowing. A runner jogged slowly down the sidewalk. A delivery truck passed by. People were already moving, already building their day. Daniel stood there thinking, maybe life didn't change during the busy hours. Maybe it changed before they began. The next day, something unusual happened. After finishing his shift, Daniel boarded the early commuter train instead of going straight home. He sat across from a man in his 60s, reading a thick book and writing notes in the margins. The man looked calm, focused, peaceful in a way Daniel hadn't felt in years. After a few minutes, curiosity pushed Daniel to speak. "Sir, can I ask you something?" The man looked up and smiled. "Of course." "Why are you working so early?" The man chuckled softly. "Because these hours belong to me." Daniel frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" The man closed his book. "From 5 to 7 in the morning," he said, "the world is quiet. No meetings, no noise, no demands. It's the only time when your mind is completely yours." Daniel thought about that. "Do you do this every day?" "For 30 years." Daniel raised his eyebrows. 30 years? "Yes," the man said. "Those 2 hours built my career." Daniel leaned forward. "What do you do during that time?" The man spoke slowly. "First, I learned something useful. Then I strengthened my body. Then I planned the day ahead. Daniel listened carefully. 2 hours. That didn't sound like much, but the man continued. 2 hours a day becomes 14 hours a week. He tapped the table gently. That's more than 700 hours a year. Daniel blinked. 700 hours. That's almost 4 months of full-time work, the man added. Daniel sat quietly, letting the idea settle. 4 months of extra progress plus every year, just from waking up earlier. Before leaving the train, the man handed Daniel a simple piece of advice. If you want your life to change, start protecting your mornings. Daniel didn't know why, but those words stayed with him. The next morning, he set an alarm. 5 a.m. When it rang, his body begged him to stay in bed. Every muscle felt heavy. Every thought whispered excuses. But something inside him pushed back, so Daniel stood up. That first morning felt awkward. The room was dark, the apartment silent. He made coffee and sat at the small table with his laptop. He searched for free online courses. Eventually, he chose something practical: bookkeeping. Small businesses always needed people who understood numbers. The lessons were slow at first, but Daniel stayed focused. At 6 o'clock, he went outside and walked around the block. Cold air filled his lungs. His body felt stiff, but his mind felt strangely awake. Then he returned home and wrote down 3 simple goals for the day. Nothing complicated, just direction. The first week was hard. His sleep schedule felt chaotic. His energy crashed by afternoon, but he kept going. Morning after morning, quiet hour after quiet hour. Something unexpected happened around the 3rd week. Daniel woke up before the alarm. For the first time, he didn't feel resistance. He felt momentum. The lessons started making sense. Numbers felt less intimidating. He completed his first online certification. Soon he moved to spreadsheets and financial software. His morning walks became longer, his mind clearer, his confidence stronger. People at work noticed. "You seem different lately," one coworker said. Daniel smiled. "Just using my mornings better." After 3 months, Daniel had completed several courses and built a small portfolio of accounting practice projects. One afternoon during his shift, he saw something interesting. The warehouse inventory records were a mess. Numbers scattered across different notebooks. Items missing. Orders delayed. Daniel spent a few evenings quietly building a simple spreadsheet system to organize everything. Then he showed it to his supervisor. At first, the supervisor was skeptical, but after a few minutes of looking through the system, his expression changed. "Where did you learn this?" Daniel shrugged. "Mornings." Within weeks, the warehouse began using Daniel's system. Mistakes dropped. Orders moved faster. Managers noticed. One afternoon, Daniel was called into the office. The company was expanding its operations and needed someone to assist the accounting department. Someone who understood both the warehouse and the numbers behind it. The manager looked directly at him. "Interested?" Daniel didn't answer right away. 3 months earlier, that question would have felt impossible. Now it felt like the natural next step. He nodded. "Yes." The promotion doubled his income. More importantly, it moved him into a career path instead of a survival routine. But Daniel kept waking up at 5. Even after the promotion, even after the raise, those early hours had become something more than a strategy. They had become his foundation. A year later, Daniel moved into a brighter apartment. He helped his father retire from physical labor. He continued studying advanced accounting software and business finance. Every morning, while the city slept, Daniel sat at his desk with coffee and a notebook. Learning, planning, growing. Friends sometimes asked him why he still woke up so early. "You've already made it," they said. Daniel would smile and answer quietly. "I didn't change my life by accident." He would pause for a moment. "I changed it 2 hours at a time." And maybe that's the real secret most people overlook. Life rarely changes during the loud, crowded hours of the day. It changes in the quiet ones, the hours when no one is watching, the hours when discipline quietly builds the future. So here is a simple question for you. Tomorrow morning, when the alarm rings, who will you be? The person who reaches for the snooze button, or the person who stands up and begins building something new? Because the truth is this: your future doesn't arrive suddenly one day. It arrives quietly, a little earlier each morning. If this story inspired you, take a moment to like this video, and share it with someone who might need a small push forward in their life. And if you enjoy thoughtful stories like this, subscribe so you won't miss the next one. Thank you for spending these moments here. Wishing you peace, strength, and a beautiful morning tomorrow.